You've likely seen his work around town. Roberto Radrigan is a prolific graphic artist, designer, activist, journalist, columnist, photographer, translator, editor, and that's just his professional side.
He's a charming rogue, just ask him.
Having escaped political persecution in Chile, Roberto arrived in Stockton in the late 70s. Through his design work, he acquired international awards that would take him to Las Vegas, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Mexico City, and eventually back to Stockton. As an interpreter for the record, out on a story with a reporter, he had an eye-opening experience that would alter his life's path.
That's the first time I crossed the Crosstown Freeway. I had never been south of Stockton except by the freeway. And when I start doing that, I start hearing stories, I start finding people, and I start realizing that they needed help. I was an educated person who could lend some help, and through the newspaper could be something that I could do, and I started getting involved. And when I did, I really liked the feeling of it.
And that's when Roberto turned his passions to journalism.
He also has the ability to hold to the fire the feet of elected officials. Roberto's not shy about that. If you're a public official and you have some position that's not in the interests of the Latino community, you can expect Roberto to be in your face.
Roberto began writing for the Record and became a controversial columnist. Seeing the need for an even greater reach into the Latino community, Roberto co-founded Bilingual Weekly and today is editor-in-chief of Joaquin magazine, the first Latino magazine in the Central Valley.
He never stops running. You always see him rushing from one place to another. Not only that, but he's very passionate about social justice issues and empowerment of the Latino community.
I believe the greatest accomplishment is to find out that you can change things, that there's really up to us, minions, to actually do something about it. It is a fallacy that if you don't have power, you cannot do things.
She's always giving and she's never asking.
Maria owns Miguel's Mexican restaurant, and it's through that venue of good food, family, and friends that Maria says she shares God's gifts.
Just, they're working. And if anybody comes in and asks me for, a favor, I'm always there.
To say she's humble and involved in her community is an understatement. Maria's opened Miguel's for countless youth sports teams, civic clubs, Stockton's homeless shelter, and hospice events, to name a few. Catholic Charities is one of the organizations most dear to Maria's heart. She sponsors all-you-can-eat taco fundraisers, serving up 1,000 tacos a night, and still Maria makes it sound like no problem at all.
It comes easy, and I know there's a lot of people that are in need. And so just for me to, to do something like that, it doesn't seem, like a lot.
It's not easy. I mean, it's really a big production. She has to hire extra staff to help her, because we do have about 200 people that show up. She needs servers, she needs an extra cook, she needs an extra person to help her at the bar. So it's not that easy.
Maria's strong work ethic and passion for giving back was something her parents instilled in her as a little girl. As one of 6 children, Maria learned that all is possible with faith and determination. Maria married her high school sweetheart, Michael, whose family owned Miguel's Mexican restaurant. Michael's family founded Miguel's on the principle that philanthropy was a responsibility and an important element to a successful business. When Michael passed away, Maria did not slow down.
She is busy, but she always has time to help others. So I think she makes a great example of what Stockton is all about.
As long as we're able to, I will still continue to be able to provide.
I went to graduate school in '64 in Florida. All the civil rights action the rights bill had taken place during that time, and so it was a very interesting period in the South, and maybe that helped influence me to think about the guy that doesn't have much of a chance.
And from that time forward, that's just what John did. Look after the less fortunate. With his master's in social welfare, John spent 40 years in public service, from Yolo County to San Francisco and back to Stockton, culminating as the director of San Joaquin County's Human Services Agency. There, he was able to ensure that those most in need in our community were taken care of.
We created after-school programs. We had recreation programs, swimming programs. We sent kids to the High Sierra Camp. We expanded food distribution in the counties to those areas where they had not been served before.
He's constantly improving things. He's constantly, he's focused on the end recipient. Who is it that's in need and how can I help them? And you saw it when he was in charge of HSA, and you've seen all the things he's done for the Hispanic community through that, really building bridges, looking for better ways to serve the end recipient.
Among John's remarkable accomplishments is the establishment of Mary Graham Children's Foundation, which helps children aging out of the foster care system move on with their education.
He's got the biggest heart in the world. I mean, when the humanitarian award is the right one for John, because it's not a career, it's a lifestyle. Everything he does every day is for people in need.
True enough, John retired 10 years ago, but his life in public service continues at full speed, serving on numerous boards and foundations. So we wonder, what keeps this man's passions alive?
His passions? Well, that would be Francesca, of course.
Linda was just a little girl when she participated in her first protest. In the midst of the Delano grape boycotts, her mother came home from work one day and announced,
"Finish your homework, get your homework done, we're going to go out and march." She was committed to the farm workers and said, we're going to show people in this area that they need to be of attention and of what's happening and get on board and support them.
And from that day forward, an activist was born. Through her work as a state employee in higher education, Linda has a distinguished record of outreach to underrepresented groups. Linda founded Tracy's first Democratic Club and has volunteered for numerous campaigns. Assemblymember Susan Eggman calls her an energetic force for good.
Helping with campaigns to elect people that will represent us, that will represent the Latino community in our issues for better education, for rights for farm workers, for immigration reform. Through my help, by going out, walking precincts, talking to people, these people are being elected, and they're going to represent us, and represent us well.
She inspires people to know that if you don't work hard and if you don't work towards having a seat at the table when it comes to social politics and things of that nature, then you're probably going to be on the menu. So she definitely encourages us and educates people, and she reaches out into the community to educate people and make sure that people know what's at stake if they don't get involved.
Currently on Tracy's Parks Commission and Mickey Grove Zoological Society, as well as other community organizations and clubs, Linda continues leading the march on behalf of others. From her humble beginnings as a family of farm workers and neighborhood store owners, Linda gleaned life lessons, and the words of her mother never far from her heart.
My mother always said, if you see an injustice, then you need to take a stand. And even if you're by yourself, and if you have to stand alone, it doesn't matter if in your heart you know it's right.